Hey, hey, English learners. Welcome to the MindSpeak English Podcast, your cozy place to grow your English through real conversations, real stories, and real life. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Joseph. And if you're new here, welcome. We are so happy you found us. Pull up a chair, get comfortable.
Yes, seriously, make yourself at home. You can be on the bus, washing dishes, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling.
All valid locations for English practice.
All completely valid. We don't judge. And actually, Joseph, before we start today, can I ask you something?
Always.
What did you want to be when you were a child?
A pilot.
A pilot? Interesting. And what happened?
Well, I discovered I get a little nervous on planes.
You get nervous on planes and you wanted to be a pilot.
Yes. Past me had very ambitious dreams and very little self-awareness.
But you know what I always thought?
I could have been a pilot if I had tried harder, or I should have faced my fear earlier, or maybe I would have loved it if I had just said yes once.
Oh, wait. Did you just...
I did. I set up today's topic without even trying.
He really did. Because today we are talking about 3 of the most useful and most confusing words in English.
Could, would, and should.
3 little words, so much power, so much confusion.
And honestly, so many learners avoid them. They say I want, or I need, or I will all the time because these 3 feel a little scary.
But here's the thing. Could, would, and should are not scary. They just need a little context, a few real examples, and someone to explain them like a real person.
Which is exactly what we're going to do today. No grammar textbook energy, no boring lists on a whiteboard.
Just us, some stories, some laughs, and very useful English you can actually use tomorrow.
And this is a B1 to B2 level episode. So if you're intermediate, this is perfect for you. If you're advanced, you might still pick up some natural expressions you haven't thought about before.
And if some parts feel a little fast, just relax. Listen again. Your brain is already working even when you don't notice it.
Yes, progress is often quiet like that.
So before we jump in, a small favor. If you enjoy learning English like this, with real conversations and real feelings, please subscribe to the MindSpeak English Podcast and give this episode a like. It really helps more learners find us.
And tell us in the comments, which one do you find most confusing? Could, would, or should? Just write the word. We'd love to see.
All right, let's do this.
Okay, Lisa, let's start with could, because I think this one has the most personalities.
It really does. Could is like that friend who is very flexible.
Very flexible. One day it's talking about the past, the next day it's talking about possibility, the next it's being polite at a coffee shop.
Exactly. So let's slow down and meet could properly. The first way we use could is for ability in the past, something you were able to do before, but maybe not now.
Right. For example, when I was 10, I could run for an hour without stopping.
And now?
And now I could run for about 4 minutes before I need a serious conversation with my knees.
That's very honest. So, could for past ability, something you were capable of doing at an earlier time. I could speak a little French when I was in school. I could stay up until 3 in the morning without feeling terrible.
Those were simpler times.
They really were. Now, the second use of could, and this one is very important for real life, is for possibility in the present or future.
Yes, this one is huge, and learners sometimes miss it because they default to can. But could is softer. It suggests something is possible but not certain.
For example, it could rain later, so take an umbrella. You're not sure, but it's possible.
Or, this could be a great opportunity for you. You see potential, you're not making a guarantee, just opening a door.
And this is where could becomes very useful in conversation because it sounds more thoughtful, less aggressive than will or can.
Right. I can help you, that's confident. I could help you, that's gentle. A small offer, a little softer.
Which brings us to the third use, could for polite requests.
Yes, this is the coffee shop version of could.
The coffee shop version.
Could I have a glass of water, please? Could you speak a little more slowly? Could we sit outside?
All of these are questions, and they all sound respectful, not demanding. When you use could in a request, you're saying, I would appreciate this, but I understand if it's not possible.
It's polite without being weak. It's confident without being rude. This is very useful in work situations, in restaurants, in any formal conversation.
And here's a small thing I want learners to notice. Could and can are both possible for requests, but could sounds a little more formal and a little more careful. So in an interview or a professional email, could is usually the better choice.
Exactly. Could you clarify what the role involves? Very professional. Can you tell me what you want? A bit abrupt.
Please don't say that in interviews.
Please don't. Okay, so let's do a quick recap before we move on. Could, 3 main uses: past ability, present or future possibility, and polite requests.
3 uses, 1 word. Very hard-working word, could.
Very hardworking. But now, here's the fun part. English learners, try this in your head right now. Think of one thing you could do as a child that feels harder now. Or think of something you could do this weekend if you had a little more energy. Just one sentence. Let it sit in your mind.
Yes, don't write it down yet. Just feel the sentence. That's already your brain practicing.
Okay, would. My personal favorite.
Your favorite? Why?
Because would is the word of imagination. When I use would, I feel like I'm painting a picture of a life that doesn't exist yet, or it might never exist, but it's beautiful.
That's a very poetic description of a modal verb, Joseph.
I stand by it.
Okay, so would. The first big use, talking about hypothetical situations, things that are imagined, not real.
The classic structure is if plus past simple, would plus base verb. For example, if I had more time, I would travel the world.
You're not saying you have more time, you're imagining a different version of reality.
Exactly. If I lived near the sea, I would wake up early every morning and walk on the beach.
That sounds amazing.
It does, right? That's the power of would. It lets you describe a life you're dreaming about.
And this comes up so naturally in conversation. Someone asks, what would you do if you won the lottery? And suddenly, everyone has opinions.
Everyone becomes very decisive. I would buy a house. I would travel. I would call in sick to a job I no longer have.
That last one is very specific.
I said what I said.
Now, the second use of would, and honestly, this one is so important for real conversations, is for talking about the past from someone's perspective, reporting what someone said.
We call this reported speech.
Right. For example, she said she would call me later. He told me he would fix the problem by Friday.
In direct speech, the person said, I will call you later. But when we report it, when we tell someone else what was said, we change will to would. The time shifted back.
This one trips up a lot of learners because it feels like would is living in the past, and it is, sort of. It's the past version of will.
A good way to remember, if you're reporting a promise, a plan, or a prediction that someone made before, use would.
And the third use, which honestly might be the most underrated, would for habits or repeated actions in the past.
Oh, this one is beautiful.
It's the nostalgic would, the grandmother's kitchen would.
Explain that.
Okay, when we talk about things we used to do repeatedly in the past, things that were part of a routine, part of a life we no longer live, we can use would. When I was a kid, we would spend every Sunday at my grandmother's house. She would always make soup. My cousins would arrive late, and my grandfather would pretend to be angry, but never really was.
That whole picture, that whole Sunday, came alive in 3 sentences.
That's the magic. You're not just saying what happened once, you're describing something that was part of who you were, a repeated moment, a version of your past life.
And notice how different it feels from simple past. We went to my grandmother's house, that's one time. We would go to my grandmother's house, that's a ritual, a whole season of Sundays.
Exactly. More texture, more feeling. So would, 3 uses: hypothetical situations, reported speech, and past habits or repeated actions. All very different, all very useful.
Now, English learners, small challenge. Think of one thing you would do if you had an extra free day this week. Just imagine it, no pressure. What would you do?
Say it in your head. I would, and finish it. That's a real sentence. That's real English. Okay, should. And I have to be honest, this one is personal for me.
Personal how?
Because should has 2 very different energies, and I used to confuse them all the time. On one hand, should is helpful. On the other hand, should can be a little
Heavy?
heavy. Yes, exactly. Let me explain. The first use of should is for advice and recommendations. Friendly, helpful should.
This is the good should. You should try this restaurant. The food is amazing. You should watch that series. I think you'd love it. You should drink more water.
Someone always says that. But yes, this should is soft. It's a suggestion. It comes from a place of care.
And it's incredibly common in everyday conversation. You should tell him how you feel. We should leave early to avoid traffic. She should ask for help instead of doing everything alone.
Notice no pressure in these sentences. You're offering a thought. The other person can take it or leave it.
Now, the second use, should for expectation, when something is likely to happen based on what we know.
For example, the package should arrive tomorrow. You're not 100% certain, but based on what you know, it's expected.
Or, it should be warm this weekend. The forecast looked good. You're making a reasonable prediction based on information.
This is a very natural conversational use of should that learners sometimes miss. They might say will when should is actually more accurate, because should carries that sense of reasonable expectation, not total certainty.
Right. The meeting will finish at 3, you're certain. The meeting should finish by 3, you expect it, but life is unpredictable.
Life is always unpredictable.
Always. And now the third use, and this is the one I mentioned earlier, the heavy should.
Should have for regrets and criticism about the past.
Yes, I should have called her sooner. We should have left earlier. He should have studied more.
This structure, should have plus past participle, is talking about something that didn't happen, but we believe it was the right thing to do.
And it can feel heavy because it carries regret. You're looking back and judging a decision.
Which is very human. We all do it. But here's something I think is worth saying to our listeners. Be careful with should have when you use it about yourself.
Yes, there's a difference between using it to learn and using it to punish yourself.
Exactly. I should have prepared more for that presentation. What can I change next time? That's useful. That's growth.
But I should have done everything perfectly. I should have known better. I should have been different. That's just your inner voice being unkind, and should have starts to feel like a weapon.
So use it wisely. Use it to grow, not to hurt yourself.
That's actually some good life advice packaged inside a grammar lesson.
We contain multitudes here at MindSpeak English.
Okay, now I want to do something fun because I think the best way to really feel these 3 words, could, would, and should, is to hear them together in a real conversation, not separated into neat boxes, just living side by side the way they do in real English.
Yes, let's do a little story. I'll start, you continue. A real situation.
Love it. Go.
So imagine it's Sunday afternoon. You have a big work presentation on Monday morning. You haven't prepared much, and your friend invites you to go out for dinner.
Okay, I know this situation. I have lived this situation.
So what goes through your head?
Well, first thought, I should stay home and prepare. That's the responsible voice, the sensible voice.
The voice that sounds like every good advice you've ever been given.
Exactly. But then the second thought, but I could prepare in the morning, I could wake up early and do it then. Possibility, there's still a path.
And then the third thought?
And if I go, it would be so nice. We would probably have a long dinner, there would be good food, I would feel so much better after. And now would is painting a very beautiful picture.
And suddenly, the responsible voice is losing the argument.
Rapidly.
So what do I do?
That's your decision. But notice what happened there. Should was the duty, the advice to yourself. Could was the possibility, the way out. And would was the imagination, the picture of the alternative life.
And in about 15 seconds of inner dialogue, all three showed up naturally. No grammar drill, no worksheet, just life.
That's how it works in real English. They don't take turns politely. They appear together, they push and pull, they help you think out loud.
And once you can hear that, once you can feel the difference between I should, I could, and I would, your English starts to sound so much more natural because you're not just describing facts anymore, you're expressing thinking, and thinking is what language is really for.
Now, let's talk about one more thing before our word tour, because I think it's important and often forgotten.
What's that?
The negative forms, couldn't, wouldn't, and shouldn't, because these are just as useful and just as common.
Oh, yes. Let's go through them quickly.
Couldn't, past inability or impossibility. I couldn't sleep last night, my mind was too busy. Or we couldn't find a taxi anywhere.
Wouldn't, refusal or the negative of an imagined situation. She wouldn't listen to anyone's advice. That's refusal. She chose not to. Or I wouldn't take that job even if they offered more money. That's the negative hypothetical.
And shouldn't, advice not to do something. You shouldn't skip breakfast, it really affects your energy. Or we shouldn't wait too long or we'll miss the deadline.
And then there's shouldn't have, the past regret in negative. I shouldn't have said that. I feel terrible. Or we shouldn't have waited so long. Now it's too late.
That one always has a little sting, doesn't it? Shouldn't have. Your heart already knows the mistake before your mouth finishes the sentence.
It does. But again, use it to learn, not to punish.
Agreed.
Okay, before we go, our word tour. Let's take a few key words and expressions from today and walk through them slowly.
Yes, sit back. No pressure, just listen and let the words settle.
First, hypothetical. If something is hypothetical, it's imagined. It's not real right now. It's a scenario, a what if. For example, let's think of a hypothetical situation. What would you do if you lost your phone? Or, that's a hypothetical question. It hasn't happened.
Repeat. Hypothetical.
Hypothetical.
Next, reasonable expectation. When you have a reasonable expectation, you believe something will happen because the evidence or logic supports it, but you're not 100% certain. The train should arrive soon. That's a reasonable expectation based on the schedule.
You can also just say, I should be there by 6 when you're making a sensible guess, not a promise.
Repeat. Reasonable expectation.
Reasonable expectation.
Next, regret. Regret is the feeling you have when you wish something in the past had been different. I have a lot of regret about how I handled that situation. And we often express it in English with should have or shouldn't have. I should have apologized sooner. I really regret it.
Regret is a heavy feeling, but naming it, putting it into words, actually makes it a little lighter.
Repeat. Regret.
Regret.
Next phrase, talking things through. When you talk something through with someone, you discuss it carefully from beginning to end until it makes more sense. I should talk this decision through with my family before I decide. Or, we talk it through for an hour and finally came to an agreement.
Talking things through is very different from just venting. When you talk something through, you're looking for clarity, for understanding.
Repeat. Talk something through.
Talk something through.
Next, inner voice. Your inner voice is the voice inside your head, the way you talk to yourself, not out loud, just inside. My inner voice kept saying I should just give up. Or, learning to make your inner voice kinder is one of the best things you can do for yourself.
We talked about inner voices a lot today. The responsible one, the imaginative one, the one that says should have too many times.
We all have the whole group chat inside our heads.
We really do. Repeat inner voice.
Inner voice.
And finally, multitudes. We use the expression to contain multitudes to mean that a person, or in our case, a word, has many layers, many sides, many different qualities. She contains multitudes. She's serious at work and hilarious with friends. Or, as we said today, could, would, and should all contain multitudes. They each have several different jobs.
It's a slightly literary expression, but you hear it in podcasts, articles, and natural conversation among English speakers.
Repeat, contain multitudes.
Contain multitudes.
All right, English learners, let's land this episode.
Today, we walked through 3 very powerful, very common modal verbs. Could, for past ability, possibility, and polite requests. Would, for imagined situations, reported speech, and past habits. And should, for advice, expectation, and past regret.
And we saw how they live together in real conversation, not separated in neat grammar boxes, but pushing and pulling and helping us think out loud.
Because at the end of the day, language isn't about rules. It's about connection. It's about finding the words that match what's actually happening inside you.
And now you have 3 more tools to do exactly that.
So here's your small challenge. This week, try to notice these 3 words when you hear them. In a podcast, in a film, in a song. Don't stop and analyze. Just notice. Your brain will start connecting the patterns quietly.
And if you want to practice actively, come to the comments. Write 1 sentence using could, 1 using would, and 1 using should. About your week, your life, your dreams, whatever feels real.
We read every comment, and seeing your sentences, honestly, it's one of our favorite parts of doing this.
We mean that.
If this episode helped your English feel a little clearer and a little more yours, please subscribe to the MindSpeak English Podcast and share it with one person who's learning English too. Every share brings someone new into this space.
Take care of your English.
And take care of yourself.
This is Lisa.
And this is Joseph.
See you next time on MindSpeak English.